Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
So I'm cutting down my top 12 investigators in Arkham Horror 3rd edition coming in the core box. I will count these down. Number 12 is Rex Murphy. Now, he does start with $3, and he starts out with a couple extra cards, but what I don't like about him is that he only resolves a test on a 6. You cannot become blessed or cursed. So it's very hard to pass tests with him. After you fail a test, you focus a skill, and it's unlimited, which is pretty helpful, but it's really hard to get those 6s out. Now, his cards, you can focus each skill up to twice, is nice. It's part of a research action. Add 1 die to a result. Once per round when resolving a test, you may reroll 1 or all of your dice, or after you gain a clue, you gain $1, and you may focus 1 skill of your choice. So a lot of focusing going on with him. Gaining more dice is nice, and I like that, but only being able to hit on the 6 makes this guy very difficult for me to use. Has a lot of health, has a lot of sanity, so maybe that worked out well for you. It did not for me. Number 11 is Calvin Wright. Now, he starts with $3, and he's going to start out with the Spirit Dagger, which can be +2 to an attack action or a lore action, which is really good. And he may exchange any amount of health and or sanity with another investigator ally in any space. That just wasn't too helpful to me in our uses. Now, until the end of time card, it has a Reckoning on it. So every time the Reckoning comes up, remove 1 damage and 1 horror from this card, and it can soak up 2 and 2. That was not that bad. And you were able to take this Voice of the Messenger if you were willing to take a dark path. And a dark path just means on a 6, something, if you roll 1, something terrible is going to happen to you. You may suffer 1 horror to reroll any number of dice. So you can keep getting that horror up here. You only got 6 to reroll dice. That's pretty nice. But the only thing I didn't like about him, and reason why I put him down a little bit lower, because I didn't find his, and it requires an action to exchange the health and stuff. I guess it can keep other people alive. I just didn't find it all that useful compared to everybody else. Number 10 is Norman Withers. Now, this is a guy I really like, because I like playing the old guy. He's going to only start with $1, and he's going to start out with the Find a Gate. Right, you're going to see here, it's a spell. Test lore. If you pass, you may move up to a space of your choice with 1 or more doom. That was kind of nice, but here's the thing. I would use this, and then I would fail it, and I wasted an action doing nothing where I could at least move 2. So it was nice if you really are desperate to move, but you really better pass it, I guess. On the back, you got 2 cards, and you can choose from them. Either Precious Memento, after you gain a clue, remove 2 horror from this card, and it can soak up to 3. So his sanity is very strong. Or Astronomy Book, once per round when resolving a test, you may reroll a number of dice up to the amount of doom in your space. I don't know. I just didn't find this to be all that helpful. After you remove 2 or more doom from your space, you may suffer 1 horror to research a clue. That was nice, but I just didn't find myself getting rid of that much doom at one time. And while I like Norman a lot as a character, it didn't work for me as being very powerful. Number 9 is Agnes Baker. Now, she's kind of interesting. She gives you $3, and you get the Heirloom of Hyperborea. After you cast a spell, you may focus 1 skill of your choice. That is nice to get that free. It's basically a free action. And you can choose between Storm of Spirits. You may test lore in place of attack as part of an attack action. I did like that one quite a bit. That was kind of nice to me. Or the Flesh Ward. Once per round, if you're another investigator or an ally on a space would suffer damage, you may test lore. Prevent damage equal to your test result. It does take up 1 of your hands, which is nice. And she does have 6 and 6, which is pretty good. And she has Blood Casing. You may suffer damage instead of horror by casting a spell. While casting a spell, if you suffer damage or spend remnants, you get a +2 to your lore. So she's 6/6. I found she was okay. I just didn't have a lot of fun playing with her. I'm not really a spell guy when it comes to the game. I don't like that as much, so your mileage may vary. So I put her down at this level. Next is Minton Font. I really did like this character a lot. She gives you $3, and you start out with the King in Yellow. Once per round, after you suffer 1 or more horror, you may research a clue. That was pretty good, but, it's specific. If you're not getting a lot of horror put on you, then you're not researching that clue, and you need to have those clues there. Now, you also have a choice between Synergy, increase your focus limit by 1. Starting out, it's 2. Other investigators in your space get a +1 to each skill you have focus, which is nice. If you stick together. Analytical Mind, you roll 1 additional die while resolving a lore or observation if you're at or above your focus level. So she likes to study. She likes to get that in. 6 for 6. It's pretty normal for her health and sanity. And her power, once per round when resolving a test, you or another investigator in your space may reroll dice up to number of clues. So you're playing a snare with a lot of clues that are out, or you can get them out and keep them out like you don't need them. She can be more powerful as you're going through. I had trouble playing with her and just really couldn't grok her very much. So I think maybe others will like her more, but just didn't play to my gaming style. Number 7 is Wendy Adams. So she gets $1 to start the game out, which isn't much, and then Mama's Amulet. So she's kind of interesting because she's a backstory. It's very thematic. Once per round, you may prevent 1 damage and 1 horror that you would suffer. I like that a lot. That's a very good, very good power that you can add in, and makes her fairly strong. Now, you have a choice here between the mysterious photo. After you get a clue, you may focus 1 skill of your choice. So you need to be the person going around and getting the clue. Somebody has to allow you to do that. Or Mr. Palterson, before 1 or more monsters would attack you, you may discard this card to disengage and exhaust those monsters. So it's a one-time use. It does soak up 2 and 2. It's okay. I think I like the photograph better. Now, her power shortcut before or after you perform an additional action as part of an evade action may move up to 2 spaces for free. That's pretty nice. I do like the movement, and she has a focus limit of 3, but her health is pretty weak at 5, and her influence is very bad. I found her to be mediocre. I do like the photograph power, and Mama's Amulet is pretty powerful, so that might be one that would interest you. Number 6 is Jenny Barnes. Now, she gives you $5, which is really cool, because she's the rich lady. And I thought that was really fun to have a lot of money, because you can move around the board pretty much at will. She has a search for Isabel, which is search for Izzy on the card, so it's not consistent, which is kind of once per round. While resolving a test, you may suffer 1 damage and 1 horror to reroll any number of dice, and Izzy can soak up 2, so that's kind of nice. And then you get a choice between dress to the 9s. When you spend a focus token to reroll a die, you may reroll any number of die instead. Gain an additional $2 as part of your trust fund ability. That's pretty nice, although money's a one-time thing. Or you get Jenny's twin 45s. It's a 2-hander. But you get +3 as part of an attack action. So her attack is usually 3. It brings it up to a 6. That's not bad. You may add 1 to the result of 1 die as part of an attack action. So if you want somebody attack heavy, she could be it. Now, her power I like a lot. If you ever have fewer than $3, you gain $3, which means this lady can move. You can see the train behind her. She can move around the board anywhere she wants because she's always going to keep getting that money back. Her lore is low, which isn't great, but I like her movement ability, and in this game, I like being able to move around. Number 5 is Tommy Muldoon. He's one of my favorite guys to play. He gives you $2, and he's going to start out with Becky. So you get a +4 as part of an attack action. Very powerful. If you look here, he's got a 3. That's a 7. That's a very powerful weapon to have. I like him to fight people. Has a focus limit of 2, and he can soak up 7 health. Now you have a choice between handcuffs, which I like, once per round. After you damage, disengage, or are damaged by a non-epic monster, you may defeat him. Love having this out. So if you can get engaged with somebody who's a non-epic human monster, especially some of the scenarios where there's a lot of cultists coming out, he's very helpful. Or the motorcycle, and I think he's a very powerful character. If I had all 3 of these, he'd probably be my number 1, because instead of a normal move action, you can move up to 3 spaces and may spend $1 to move 1 additional space. If I could use all 3 of these at one time, he would by far be my favorite character, but Alice, I was only able to choose 2. But if you're able to attack, or you need something where you have an attacker, he's a little bit better than Jenny, I think, because of that +4, and he can immediately beat them if they're engaged. I like him quite a bit. Number 4 is Michael McGill. He starts out with $3 and the Chicago Typewriter. You get a +4 as part of an attack action. So when you combine that with his 4, he's actually a little bit stronger than Tommy with an 8, so that's pretty nice. And then you get a choice of O'Banion's member. After you perform a gather resource action, you may test your strength. If you pass, you gain $2. So getting that $2 can be very important, so you can move around the board. Or Boiler, there's a vehicle. After you perform a move action, you may deal 2 damage to 1 monster you engaged with, and 2 damage to this car. This car can soak up to 5. So it's a really good way of kind of having that car and running into people. I think it's very thematic. He has an 8 health, but not much sanity. His mind isn't that great. His observation skills are low with just 1. Now, his power, if you defeat a monster as part of an attack action, you recover 1 sanity or focus 1 skill of your choice. That can be very powerful because he only focused once. It's not too high, but you can keep that sanity from getting too high because that will knock you out the quickest with Michael. That's his weak spot. But everything else is very strong. Number 3 is Dexter Drake, and I have to admit, I love playing as the Magician. He's got $2, and he would give you the Mist. You may test lore in place of eyes. Observation is part of an evade action. So very good at evading. And then you can see here that his lore is 4, his observation is only 2. Now you have a choice of astral travel, which I like quite a bit. Instead of a normal move action, you may test your lore and move a number of spaces equal to your test result +2. So if you get 4, you could possibly move 6 around the board, which is pretty powerful. Or the Magician's Cane, +2 while casting a spell. So if you want to get spells with a Magician, be very powerful. Overall, his stats aren't too bad. His health isn't great at 5. He has a power once per round while resolving the lore test. You may reroll 1 or all of your dice. You need to get spells with this guy. Be rolling that lore dash. Want him to get Doom off the table. fantastic person if there's a lot of doom to get off. Number 2 is Marie Lambeau. She gives you $4 and intervene. So it's just a spell, requires 2 hands, and it can soak up 2 of the damage. So it gives you 2 damage every time to your sanity every time you use it. Once per round, when another investigator in any space is resolving a test, you may test lore -1. Add your test result to theirs. So that's very, very strong to try and get doom off the board or some kind of lore test. And she can soak up to 7, but it's 2 every time you use that. So you need to have something to get that lore off of her. Now, you also have a choice of the knife. You gain +2 as part of an attack, or +2 while casting a spell, which once again, and she comes with a spell, which is fantastic, or Witch's Blood. You may perform an action you've already performed this round. You can allow another investigator to perform the action with your Smoky Velvet ability. Once per round after you spend a remnant, you gain 1 remnant. So whenever you spend it, you get it right back, which is nice. What I like about her a lot is her power. Once per round, after you perform an action, another investigator on any space may perform the same action. You want to attack? You guys both need to attack? You can do it. You want to move? It's basically a free move action for somebody else. You move so much in this game. She's excellent. Might be my favorite, but I put her at number 2. That action right here where they can copy you on any space, wonderful. If you're playing for the first time, use her. And number 1, go to Daniela. You get $3 and you get her, and I really like Gabriel. So Gabriel, you get same thing you saw with Tommy, 3 movement space and $1 to move to another space. So she's great. Got to keep money on her so she can keep moving. And that 3 movement space is fantastic to get past those streets sometimes. 7 health, 5 sanity is not too bad. Her observation's really low, but everything else is pretty equal at 3. You have a choice of Ace of Swords. When you spend a focus to reroll a die, you may recover 1 sanity. So she's going to be needing to recover that sanity all the time. Or you can use a wrench. You get a +1 as attack as part of an attack action. +3 if you have a free hand. So if you don't have anything in her hand, that's it. The wrench, +3. It's not bad at all. Her power, to perform a gather resource action, you may focus 1 skill of your choice. I like her doing that because when she gets the money, she also gets to focus. So it's combining 2 of the actions. I think that's very, very powerful to quickly get focus. And she can focus 3 times. That gives you a lot of rerolls. You're constantly doing that and gathering more money. The movement, which you need with Gabriel. She works really well all together. Now, I put her 1 and Marie 2. This could have went either way depending on what. But if you put those 2 together, you got a really good team. You got maybe Dexter, who can get rid of a lot of doom. And then add in maybe like Michael as a fighter. And that is a very strong team that you're going to have here of these 4. And you should be able to take on any scenario. I think the other ones will make it a little bit harder if you want a little more difficult of experience. I hope you enjoyed this countdown. I just wanted to have a little bit of fun with the scenario and the investigators are in here. Let me know what you like. Who do you like? Who are your favorites? And where was I wrong or where was I right? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.